Hello everyone and welcome back to Arctic Retro. So I'm in the middle of opening some packages. This is not a mail and donations video, by the way, it's a regular video, but I thought I'd show you a couple of things first, and one of the packages is the theme for this video. By the way, I have set up this Commodore 128 with a 1581 floppy disk drive, and I'm currently checking out the GEOS 128, and it actually works fine. But that's for another video. But I was thinking about using this machine for some of this video too. Some of the things I already opened. Yes, what do we have here? And it's a Bluesky PCB, which is a SCSI drive emulator that can be used on various machines, I think. Got that from my friend Ronnie. And then I have this. It's a small power supply from Meanwell, and this I'm gonna use in that Spectra Video MSX machine that was broken, and the power supply was broken, so I'm gonna replace that with this plus a solution for the video. I got a couple of other special things here, you know. These are actually just USB memory sticks. They're completely blank and with no housing or anything. Dirt cheap from AliExpress. So my plan with these is to actually print my own housing for them and then fill them with some goodies, retro goodies. This is the same, but these are the credit card type. You can actually order these. It's a USB memory module here as well, and you just insert it into the machine. I bought these also from AliExpress, very cheap, and yeah, you can actually get them to print your own graphics onto them, a logo or something if you want. I might make some giveaways from these, we'll see about that. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. If you need to have produced your own PCBs, then just visit PCBWay and you can get an instant quote for your own PCBs produced for as low as $5 for 5 PCBs. They also do other stuff like advanced PCB. They do CNC machining and 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and prototype PCB assembly, among other things. Also visit their shared project site, where you can find a lot of already made PCB designs. So go ahead and visit PCBWay.com and check out their services. Yeah, this one, let's open it up. It's not that exciting, but yeah, let's check it out, see if it works. You know, I have a lot of Commodore 1541 floppy disk drives, but actually I only have one power supply, and that's why I bought this one. It's a power supply for the 1541-2 floppy disk drive. This can also be used with my 1581. I paid around 40 euros for this, included shipping from Norway, so not very cheap, but acceptable. I just plug it in and I'm gonna measure the voltages just to see that it works. The seller said it was working. Testing the voltage on these DIN connectors can be a little bit difficult, so I usually just take a little piece of heat shrink and place over the pins. That makes it a lot easier. Let's see what this says. Nothing. I'm not sure about the pinout. Yeah, it's 12 volts there for sure. And there's 5 volts. Yeah, so it is working. Yeah, 5 and 12, that's what we want. This one came today, and it says here from Jacob at the Vault of Retro Relics, and this was sent from Denmark. This is a donation, and Jacob, he contacted me via email and asked if it was okay. He sent me something he made, and I said sure, go ahead. And he did the right thing, he declared it as a gift. So what's this then? Alright, it's some kind of sign, the Vault of Retro Relics, and there's a QR code, maybe you can scan it. And there's the URL for his shop at etsy.com. He told me I didn't have to show this in my videos, he just wanted to give it to me, but I'll show it anyway. It seems like something he has made himself on some kind of laser machine, engraving machine. And this one, it's a keychain Doom. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's a solid metal, very nice, cool. Another keychain, it's a coin. Yeah, the letters, I actually have a hard time understanding what they say. Mele booty something, and a skull, it's the same on both sides. And there's another floppy disk, and it's in plastic, and it's the secret of Monkey Island. Don't know if you can see it through the plastic. Maybe that has something to do with that, I'm not sure. Anyway, thanks a lot, Jacob, that was cool, I appreciate it. Then I have this package from my long-time supporter John from Bergen, and he sent me another one now, but this time I actually bought it because it's relatively expensive, and I'm really excited about this one. And this is what this video is about. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's the Kung Fu Flash 2. It's a brand new variant of the Kung Fu Flash. Kung Fu Flash is a very handy cartridge to have with the Commodore 64. It was designed by Kim Jorgensen, and this version 2 has some new features. Among others, it has a memory expansion. That means that it has also a REU emulation in this cartridge, alongside the regular stuff like floppy disk and cartridge emulation. So this is what I'm going to check out in this video. The quality looks very nice, 3D printed, but with no defects. Nice screws. Second item, I got 2 of those. So I'm only gonna unpack one. It's very good packaging on this. Yeah, it's a SideKick module, the SideKick64 for the Commodore 64. And with it, there's an OLED screen, which I guess goes in there. And it has an expansion on the back side. I'll come back to this in a minute. The other thing is just the same. I got 2 of those. But first, let's check out the Kung Fu Flash 2 and see what it is all about. Yeah, so I have a SD micro memory card inside here now, and yeah, just gonna insert it. But first, about the buttons. There's one reset button, and that resets the machine. There's the menu button that brings up the Kung Fu Flash menu. And there's special buttons that is used for cartridges that is emulated, and that requires a special button to be pressed, like freezer cartridges and stuff. Now this is the Commodore 128. I'm not really sure how compatible it is with regards to the 128, but at least it starts up, and I've already been in here. So if we take a look at F5, which is settings, here we now can see that it has a RAM expansion, REU, and it's enabled. When it comes to the actual Kung Fu Flash features, I'm not going to go too deep into details here, but as I said, it can emulate other cartridge ROMs, and obviously it can run games and stuff from disk images like D64 files and other types of files, tape files and stuff. And you organize the files into folders. Yeah, it says here Kung Fu Flash version 2.01, F1 for help. And it can also emulate Easy Flash images. And Easy Flash is another type of cartridge similar to this, where you build up these collections of files, and those are flashed to the Easy Flash. And here's a Easy Flash folder that has a lot of stuff. In the previous version, when you wanted to use a CRT or cartridge file, or like the Easy Flash on the Kung Fu Flash, it actually had to program that into flash memory on the cartridge, and that could take a little bit of time. But as we saw now, it just instantly loaded. So if I quit, this is a CRT file of 1 megabyte, which is an Easy Flash image. Sorry, I had the microphone a little bit away. And it now should load that instantly and not have to flash its flash memory first. Yeah. Then you just select the game or something and it should load instantly. Very nice. And here I have like the ultimate tape archive. These are tape files. You see .tap, and yeah, that cannot be loaded. Yeah, and here I have some big collection of games and all sorts of stuff. These are CRT files. That means it's cartridge dumps. And they load instantly, like if it was the original cartridge. You just use the keyboard cursor keys, and if you want to go back a directory, you just select the dot. You can also use a joystick to navigate. It can load other types of files like PRG, D64. As I said, this is Seawolf D64, and then it just opens the directory from the floppy disk on the D64 file, and you just select it and it loads instantly. If you want to mount a D64 image and then go to basic, you can hold shift and press return. And then you get this menu, open, mount, and delete, and cancel. So I select mount, and then it mounts it as drive 8 and loads basic. So now you can actually just load it the regular way. And you see it's very, very fast. So you can do like this, and you can obviously do other disk operations. Yeah, you see how fast it is. And that obviously means that you can, when you mount a disk image like that, you can copy files from it to another drive if you want. Yeah, and then you have like these tools cartridges. Like here's a collection of Adrian Black's tools. And this is Easy Flash cartridge that he has collected, and it loaded instantly. And here you can see you can actually load the diagnostics cartridge if you want, and it will load and run as the original diagnostics cartridge if you don't have that from before. So that's very handy. Yeah, so that was Adrian Black's tools, and obviously we need to play a little bit of his song. All the information about the Kung Fu Flash 2 you find on Kim Jørgensen on GitHub, and he has a separate Git archive there for the version 2. And here you can see there's a Kung Fu Flash version 2.02. So I'm gonna download that right away. And the firmware is updated just by downloading the file and then copying it to the memory card. So I'm gonna upgrade it now to 202. Yeah, just copy the file to the memory card and booting it, and you actually need to, oh, what happened now? You need to update it manually. How was this again? I put the file here on the firmware. There's version 2.02 update. This will upgrade the firmware to Kung Fu Flash version 2.02 upgrade. Yeah, that was quick. Very, very quick. But what's new in that, I'm not really sure. I can obviously take a look at the release notes. Yeah, it says here, fix race condition in menu startup and minor update to unsaved changes text. But what I was interested in now is the RAM expansion, and to test that, there are some games that actually requires the REU, and one of those is the Sonic the Hedgehog. So I can try that. Alright, it starts. It wouldn't load, it just said loading, but never loaded. I found another here, enable CPU acceleration C128 detected. Warning, this will not work on original REU cartridges from Commodore, but will require a modern REU replacement. Well, that's not helpful. Insert side 1 and press fire. Well, it was actually this Sonage V 1.2 plus 5.3 GP, I'm not sure. So this won't work then. Have you any other games that requires or can benefit from RAM expansion? What about this one? Sam's Journey. That's a new game. No, just hangs, crash and burns. You know what? This is a Commodore 128. Obviously it has some compatibility issues with the C64, so I'm actually gonna replace it with one of the C64s. Let's use my gold C64C, which I built myself from a motherboard replica. Works very nicely. Just to rule out any incompatibility issues with 128. Well, now it says insert fat formatted SD card. Yeah, I think I accidentally ejected the SD card. This is Sam's Journey again. But it didn't start on this machine either, so yeah, I'm aware that some games won't load using the Kung Fu Flash, obviously. I don't think it's 100% compatible with all games, you know. Let's try the Sonic again then. I'm using the compatible load, not the fast load. Yeah, now it's loading. On the 128 it just stopped there. Load full game into REU immediately. Yes, of course. So it's detected it. Insert side B and press fire to continue. But how do we actually change the disk on the Kung Fu Flash? I'm not sure if it's possible. I mean, you need to change disk to the other disk image, but if you press the menu button, then obviously you go back, so not possible to do that. So that's possibly one drawback with this Kung Fu Flash cartridge. You cannot change the disk image. But Giana Sisters work. So without the REU you can't play the Sonic game no matter what, even if you don't load the whole game into memory. But let's try it. Just don't load the full game into memory. No, it actually works. So the memory expansion do work, so that's nice. Let's try now and disable the REU and see what happens then. Say no, save, and then load Sonic. Yeah, it says no REU found. Sonic needs at least 256 kilobytes. And this cartridge actually emulates 1 megabytes of RAM. Yeah, so everything seems to be working as expected. If we read a little bit about the Kung Fu Flash 2, it says here it's the big brother of Kung Fu Flash. It has a faster microcontroller with more memory and I/O pins, allowing for additional functionality. Currently, this project is considered experimental and provides the same features as the Kung Fu Flash with these notable exceptions. Yeah, as I mentioned, CRT files are loaded into RAM and not Flash, making large CRT files start up faster. The cartridge detects if the C64 C128 is reset, and the REU emulation has been added. Yeah, and here's a list of the supported cartridge types. It lists a lot. Generic cartridge, Action Replay, Simon's Basic, Epic's Fast Load, stuff like that. Easy Flash, as we have seen. And it supports the following file types: CRT, generic cartridge, ROM, bin files, disk images, tape image, T64, program, PRG, firmware update we have already seen, and text document, so it can display text files. Talks about the RAM emulation and the USB port. The USB port allows programs or disk images to be transferred to and from PC using the Easy Flash 3 USB protocol. If you want to download something that requires the REU, you can go to CSDB, and here you can select REU releases. And there's a lot of stuff. So I'll download a couple of things here. I'm not sure what it is. If it's demos or something, but this requires the REU. So I copied the stuff I downloaded over to the memory card, and yeah, here's something called Blue REU Crest, which has a 16 megabyte file. I think this is some kind of video. Yeah, I don't know if this will work here. Oh, warning. REU found, but data check failed. This demo requires a 16 megabyte REU. Okay. Yeah, so this Kung Fu Flash only has a 1 megabyte REU. So this will probably not work. I don't know how much more it would cost to have a 16 megabyte RAM chip instead of a 1 megabyte, but yeah. No. Just crashes. No, the other thing was your friends. That's also some 16 meg files, and one program called Koala Video. No Koala Video file loaded in the REU, or REU not enabled. Yeah, I don't know how it's supposed to be working, but maybe these 16 megabyte files indicates also that it requires a 16 megabyte RAM expansion. Anyway, John, who sent me this, he actually sent me some files with content. Let's see if I can find something that works better. So just copying over a big collection of files from John. He's also part of the Crypto Burners, or CRB, and they make archives like this for the C64. Well, that didn't work very well. I think this card is formatted as exFAT, so I need to reformat it. And I'm not sure if the Kung Fu Flash can handle a 64 gigabyte card. If not, I need to partition it into 16 gigs. While I'm waiting for the formatting, I was wondering about the tape archive files, the TAP files. Supposedly these are supported. It says so on the GitHub page, but no, it won't load them. It says not supported or invalid, so that's not good. Ah, I see now. It supports tape image, but T64 files. Yeah. That's a little drawback. I guess supporting TAP files wouldn't be that difficult. It's the same, only in another format. Anyway, that's not a big issue. I mean, I got most of the games I can even think of in this OneLoad 64 games collection, and these all seems to have converted to CRT. So yeah, that works obviously. This is a great game, Blue Max. I need to play it a little bit. Oh, the memory card is still formatting. I think it's gonna take 1 hour. It's been a long time since I played this, I feel. Well, I didn't hit much. Score 0. Also a nice game, Bomb Jack. It has great music. Jean-Michel Jarre. Yeah, I cleared level 1. Alright, so I had to repartition the card to 16 gigabytes and then it worked. So now I fill this up with some gigabytes of stuff that apparently requires or utilizes the REU, so we can check out some of that. Obviously a lot of these things like the REU newbies that are in fact movies or films, they still are 16 megabytes, so they cannot be played on this. Let's see what else we have here. Here's a couple of audio files as CRTs, and yeah, they are 1 megabyte, so they might work. Press space. Okay, cool. That sounds like a real audio sample. Not like the Ghostbusters speech in the Ghostbusters game. Oh no. Please, Mariah Carey, Christmas is over. Please go home. That's better. Obviously it's not stereo since this machine only have one SID chip. Well, it works. Tattoo Man. Okay, that was easy. Now all these games and stuff, I'm not sure if they requires REU, but it is in a REU collection here, so maybe it's copyright 2025, so that's quite new. Okay. Oh my god. No, this cannot possibly be requiring a RAM extension. Just a simple Flappy Bird, a bad one. There's a REU folder there, and yeah, it seems to have some games like Sonic the Hedgehog. Still, we cannot load that because we cannot change the disk image. But there seems to be some utilities like copy utilities that utilizes the RAM expansion. 256 kilobyte RAM copy for 3040 track. Yeah, 256 kilobyte RAM copy. So this means that you can copy a floppy disk in one go without having to swap the disks multiple times. There's Doom, but it requires you have the Super CPU V2 with 16 megabyte of RAM, which obviously we don't have. Here's X-Men 512K, X-Men for 512K REU. Nope, that doesn't seem to work. Just hangs here with a black screen. So this is some kind of demo called True Love. Boring. Don't see the point of this. It's probably technically very good, but yeah. Ski or die. Yeah, that loaded, and since it's in the REU folder, I suppose it is a game that utilizes REU. Took a long time to load. What the hell? Well. Globe REU from 2016. Welcome to the Globe REU demo. Please allow up to 7 minutes for pre-rendering. Alright. Yeah, we better wait for that. I'll be back when 7 minutes has passed. I think it's generating a globe or a map of the world and filling up the RAM expansion so it can render properly. Yeah, look at that. It's the globe. I think I've seen it before, but besides this, what does it do? Yeah, I think that's enough testing of the Kung Fu Flash with the RAM expansion. It seems to be working, but I have 3 things I want to complain about. First, yeah, 1 megabyte is not enough. Most things made with the RAM expansion in mind seems to be requiring 16 megabytes. And a 16 megabyte RAM chip nowadays doesn't cost much more than $1 to $2, I think. And number 2, you cannot play multi-disc games. That is, you cannot switch the disk image while you have loaded one. That's a drawback. And you cannot play tap files. That's a little pity. A lot of games and stuff comes on tap files. But besides that, it seems to be working as intended. Hopefully there's some development going on further on, and we will see some improvements on this product. But now I'm gonna take a look at the other thing here, the SideKick64, and I think this can overcome some of the limitations that the Kung Fu Flash 2 has. Let's take a look at this. So the SideKick is a product I haven't really heard that much about. I have never tested it. It's one of those software-defined cartridges. That means that it emulates stuff in software, and to do that you need a Raspberry Pi. This works with a Raspberry Pi 3A Plus or 3B Plus, and I actually went out and bought one today. It's a 3B Plus. I have a couple of these from before, but yeah, they're in use for various other things, so I needed a new one. And yeah, this one costs around 60 US dollars, at least here in Norway. And this can work with the Commodore 64, 128, the VIC-20, and the Commodore C16 and +4 machines. So it's kind of versatile. So the clue with this is that you place it into the PIO header like this, I think. Yeah, it must be this way. Couldn't be this way. That looks strange. Anyway, I checked that out, and then I'll install the necessary software, because the Raspberry Pi is a whole little computer in itself. It runs an operating system, and you need to install that onto a memory card. And here's a memory card slot. And it's an ARM-based computer, and this one you can actually connect to a lot of different peripherals. You can first of all connect it to a monitor with the HDMI port. It has a network, it has 4 USB slots, it has audio out, and here's a micro USB connector for powering it. And there's also some ports here for connecting various things like cameras and other sensors. Yeah, it goes like this. Push it down, and then you insert a cartridge in the machine, and you can hook up another monitor to the HDMI if you want, just to check what's going on the screen. This is how it looks when you put it into a case. I think I'm gonna print this one. I guess this one is if you use a Pi Zero, but if you use a Pi Zero, it can only be used with the C64 and 128, I think. Yeah, it says here or 02 only for the C64, 128 and VIC-20. Yeah, so that doesn't work with the C16 and +4 then. So what does it do? Its functionality is entirely defined by software, so that means it can do almost anything that the hardware is then capable of. It features a GRAM and ERAM compatible memory expansion, so then we perhaps get 16 megabytes. It can emulate freezer cartridges and numerous bank switching cartridges, such as plain Commodore C16 and +4 cartridges, Easy Flash, Magic Desk, yeah, a lot of stuff here. C64 game system, megabit ROM, Simon's Basic, and it can do C64 kernel replacements and the function ROMs on the C128. That is the available U36 socket in a Commodore 128. It can emulate multiple SIDs and sound expanders and FM emulation up to 8 SIDs. MIDI interface emulation, audio player can play mod, YM and WAV files. Z sound and Digiblaster emulation. And for the VIC-20, there's a lot of stuff. Provides a VIC emulation which outputs picture and sound via the Raspberry Pi HDMI output. That's cool. Emulates memory expansions. Yeah, the VIC-20 without the memory expansion can't do much. A rudimentary disk emulation. Runs PRGs and VIC-20 cartridge stored as PRG or CRT files. Yeah, so that's a lot of stuff. And here's information how you can build one yourself, how you can order it, and instructions for building it, 3D printed case, overclocking, how to power it. It says you should normally use an external power supply, although you can power it from the C64. And for the 128, it can utilize the VDC 4080 column chip for the menu. A lot of stuff. So this one you can read yourself if you're interested. So this isn't a new project. I see the files here were added 3 years ago. The latest release is from June 2023, so I'm gonna download that. Yeah, here's the file to download, SideKick version 0.51D. It's a 6 megabyte zip file, so it hasn't reached version 1 yet. Yeah, and when you extract this, it seems like it comes with various files you need for the operating system of the Raspberry Pi, and then it has a lot of folders for the different machines. Seems like it has a lot of tools and stuff. And it has some empty folders for you to put games and stuff into. Yeah, so just copy all those files over to another SD card and let's test it out then. I just used the same memory card as I had in the Kung Fu Flash. There's no issue with that. I just copied all the files to the root and there's no conflict with that. This should now boot into the Linux variant that is installed to this, and then it should start the emulation. I just want to hook it up to HDMI first and see what happens on the screen. And then we need some power, just a regular 5V USB micro power supply. I have one that actually I bought with another Raspberry Pi, so this should be sufficient. It needs to be powerful enough, obviously. Okay, let's see now. It's blinking. Yeah, it says SideKick. And also on that little OLED screen, it also says SideKick64. So that might be it. It might not do anything else on the HDMI output. I don't know. I was perhaps expecting some, maybe some statistics shown or something, like the Pi 1541, which also uses Raspberry Pi. It shows what happens when you load disks and stuff like that. Let me just insert it into the machine then. Obviously you want to power that off first. I think that's a good idea. With new PCBs like this, it can be a little bit hard to insert. It went straight in, and it said that you should power on the SideKick first. I mean the SideKick. I keep saying SideKick because that's another project that uses Raspberry Pi for SID emulation. It starts up very quickly, within a couple of seconds, and it has some blinkety-blinky LEDs. Let me turn on the machine now, see how this reacts. It didn't do anything. Hopefully there's the point to this OLED screen, besides just showing that. I mean, why would I need that then? But let's see what's on the Commodore screen now. That's the SCART input. Yeah, alright, there we have it. SideKick. So here we have F1 GRAM, F3 is SID plus FM emulation. It makes a lot of noise on my TV. Let's see what's with the GRAM. Choose kernel and or PRG with F7. Back return F1 launch. So apparently now it's launched with the GRAM. There's 3 buttons. At least one of those are a reset button. Yes. Resets the machine. The other one does nothing. The third one does nothing. So I guess then we need to turn off the machine to come back to the menu. What the heck? I turned off the machine and the picture is still on. What? The machine is now powered by the SideKick, the power supply going into the machine. That's crazy. I turned it off. So now if I turn off the power to the SideKick, that was a new one. I didn't know that was even possible to power the machine from the expansion port. I was thinking maybe there's some jumper for that. I should probably check out that I don't do anything stupid here with powering from 2 different sources. So F7 is browser. Yeah, so here we have a file browser. Use the cursor keys. I think all these folders are empty, so that's why they don't present anything. Here's some mods. Mods is those a little bit more modern music files for the 16-bit machines, the Amiga. Alright. Yeah, this is something else. But it's quite noisy. I don't know if you hear that. When it's silent, it's quite noisy. Yeah, now the image on the OLEDs changed. Maybe you hear it now. It's quite annoying noise. Strange thing is, if I turn the machine off now, it continues, but the audio disappears. That's because the SID chip is powered separately. Now I took out the power to the SideKick. Let's turn on the machine. Yeah, and the SideKick's starting. So that means it's now powered by the Commodore. So no need for an external power supply, but it said in the instructions you should not use an old Commodore brick power supply. Might be too weak. I have a modern one for this machine. Yes, the SideKick board has this jumper. It says close to power via GPIO. So Suppose if we want to have external power, we remove this. I think that is the safest option, so that we don't mess up the machine or anything else. Then we power up the SideKick first. Then the machine can be powered on. Oops. Yeah, I don't know what that was. F5 settings. Here you have the settings. Memory 2 megabytes. You can emulate SIDs and FM sound. RAM file on the SD. SID number 1. Yeah, so it is maybe emulating the SIDs too, since you can change. Yeah, of course. This looks like the thing you can do with SideKick. Besides the RAM and the SID settings, there isn't much else. Alright, let me just put some files on the memory card and see what this can do. There's actually a lot of configuration settings you can set, and there's a config.txt file which you can open and edit. But this file is made like this. It includes other settings files, so I see here that the default configuration here is the recommended Raspberry Pi Zero at 1.3 GHz, and then you include this config text file. However, it says here for legacy Raspberry Pi 3A+, 3B+, which I have. Works for C64 and usually also for C128. It says to include this file instead, so I'm gonna do that. But apparently it worked with the other. And then further below there's files for other machines. Then if we open the correct config file, it has these settings here. I don't know what all this means. It's probably explained in the documentation, but it's loading a specific kernel. Yeah, and there's some overclocking stuff if you want to try that. I'm not gonna go into that now. But I already copied a lot of folders with content onto this memory card, but it didn't show up. I'm not sure if you need to place them in a specific catalog or something. I didn't see these folders, the REU novice and the CRB folder. Yes, apparently you're supposed to edit this main config file that's in the C64 folder called SideKick64 config, and then you copy the different ROMs and files to the respective subdirectories. And here's that file. It has a lot of settings for OLED screen, and here you can place things in the favorites, and yeah, this is the different menus. So yeah, I apparently need to edit this file to be able to see the files are copied and the folders are copied. So yeah, that's a little bit cumbersome. It should have been able just to browse all the subfolders on the root of the SD card. Apparently it doesn't. But then again, John has provided me with a ready-made file full of stuff. So I'm just unpacking that. Maybe that can help me to set up this card and don't have to do all that manual work. It's 1.4 gigabytes of Commodore 64 stuff in one big archive. Yeah, the text file here says it contains all the binaries, manual text, schematics, everything for which we could get a hold of. I just copy all that to the memory card and see what it has. It's the SideKick collection V1.7, and unpacked it's 3.48 gigabytes. Yeah, and it says here the SideKick collection includes all the TGA game loading screens. Simply unzip the collection to the root of the microSD card. So that's 4 gigabytes almost of Commodore 64 stuff, just copying to the root of the memory card. Takes a while. You know, when you're copying so many small files onto maybe a slow SD memory card, it takes a long time. It's going to take 40 minutes, but I don't think it's going to take that long. Yeah, it takes more like 10 minutes. Anyway, these files that I have gotten here, they can be downloaded John told me to link to the files in the description. However, there will be a time limit. They're only going to be available for 30 days, and already many days has gone, so be quick then. So I am reporting on issues too, and apparently something happened now after I copied that collection. It won't start up, just crashes, and if I reset the machine, it goes into that, so I don't know why. Alright, I'll clean up this memory card. Now I copied 2 different collections, and I also used it in the Kung Fu Flash first, so I clean it up, delete everything, and then copy again. Now everything seems to be there. The CRT is full of sorted folders. D64 is empty, but the kernel is full of files. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the favorites. You can manage that yourself. These are a lot of games, D64 files. Now, let's see now, does this work then? No, it actually crashes when I fill up this card. That's a bummer. So I guess that's a bug in the SideKick software. When you have empty folders, it starts up, but when there's a lot of files, it doesn't. What I need to do then is to empty the memory card again, and then just maybe take one folder and check what's in it. Well, I cleaned out some of the folders to get less files on this card, and now it won't even start up, so I don't know. Maybe it's a shitty SD memory card I bought on AliExpress. I'll try with another one. New SD card, but that did not help. I don't know what happens here or what have happened. If I take a look at the HDMI output, it just looks like this. Just hangs, found a valid version 4.xx SD card. Okay, so I formatted the SD card again, and now I just copied the SideKick files, and apparently now it works again. However, I noticed one thing: if you're not careful, you can actually push this SideKick card down, and it will short out some of the pins on the Raspberry Pi contacts. Gonna put some paper between. But that was not the reason it wouldn't boot. I'm just going to try to copy some files again, not the whole collection, but only parts of it. No, I only copy the folder that's related to the Commodore 64. Oh boy, I think I give up soon. Now with another SD card, which is much more cleaner, just a few files. It still crashes. Even try another machine here. Still the same. Finally, I get something working. Still, it's a little bit strange that you don't have a reset button that resets the actual SideKick. You need to turn off the machine. Again, I just deleted a lot of files, and I mean a lot. So now I have this CRT folder that contains sorted folders with games, apparently. CRT files. Yeah, and they start immediately. Yeah, one nifty thing is that you get information about the game in the little OLED screen. So that's kind of cool. And the graphics shown on the OLED, it's these TGA files. If you have a TGA file with the same name as a CRT file or a D64 file, it will be shown. And these TGA files you can make yourself. You can open them in a paint program in Windows. Yeah, I think I figured out what's causing it to crash, and it's the favorites folder. When I copy from that collection from John, it contains, the favorites folder contains 23,000 files. So I guess that's a little bit too much. Thinking about it, 23,000 files, if each of those contains a file name with 10 characters, then there's 230 kilobytes just for the file names. Yes, when I reduce the favorites folder, it actually works. So it seems like the favorites is something you display on the first page here. By the way, using the config files, you can configure this startup screen with a lot of stuff. You can even replace it with your own if you want. So these are the favorites that show up on the first page here. So I guess that's why it crashed. Now, the SideKick isn't only for running games of SD card and stuff like that. We have a lot of other solutions for that is perhaps simpler and cheaper. But the thing here is you can run so much more. You can run cartridges, and you can change out the ROMs that's in the machine. Let's say I want to run the final cartridge. The machine starts up, and yeah, I just press one of the buttons and that activates the final cartridge. So instead of having to switch a lot of different cartridges, like if I want a super snapshot, yeah, I don't know how to actually run it, but there's a snapshot V1, V2, unknown supported CRT type. That one worked, yeah. So you see, this is the super snapshot. And now whenever you have loaded such special cartridges, the buttons on the SideKick gets useful, like if you want to restart this super snapshot. Another thing you can do, you can load kernel ROMs and replace the original kernel ROM that's in the machine. I haven't really tested this here, but let's say I want to have the master ROM, kernel ROM. No, I cannot select it here as I thought, but I saw some settings in the config file. Maybe you have to configure the path of the kernel ROM you want to use. Yeah, and then we have the music part. It can run as I showed you before. I found this collection of Amiga Top 100 mods. Maybe I should have read the documentation a little bit better, but I like to fiddle around with these things and figure out things myself. So there's a text file here. I mean, there's a kernel already here. What if I... it's called kernel SideKick64. I guess that's for SideKick. If I open this SideKick64 text file, you can change here. So here it says kernel SideKick64 image. What if I instead change that to SD kernel and this ROM instead? I'm not sure if that's gonna work. Let's try. Apparently that didn't work, so no, it didn't even start at all. Yeah, I didn't figure out how to replace the kernel, but I'm sure it's possible. Maybe I don't have the right file types or something. So this has a memory expansion, and if you go to the settings F5, you see here that you can configure it from 512 up to 4 megabytes, so it's still not 16 megabytes, and it's the GeoRAM type. So let's see now if Sonic the Hedgehog now, if it's working with this. Well, apparently it's not. It says no REU found. So that's a bummer. But it is very fast at loading the D64 files. That's Bruce Lee again. However, I'm not really sure how this GeoRAM works. I mean, I set it to 4 megabytes, but it has its own separate menu, F1. And it says here, choose kernel and or RPG with F7. Then go back and return F1 launch. So now I selected a Sonic, and then I press arrow back and F1. No, that doesn't work. So again, choose CRT DXS or PRG with NeoRAM to start. Start it. Nope, doesn't work. Yeah, still learning here. If you go to the D64 folder and you only have D64 files, you have this menu. It says mount and load star 8, 1 if you press M. Okay, let's try that. Yeah. Let's see now if Sonic works. Now REU found. Pity. I mean, if you are gonna implement RAM expansion, I guess the first game you should try to support is Sonic the Hedgehog. But apparently not. Anyway, you can also just press Shift M and you mount the D64 image and start into basic. Yeah, it seems it changed the the startup screen. Now it says SideKick64 disk image launch. I guess you do the regular thing here. Yes. So that works. I figured out if you press and hold the reset button and release it, then you come back to the SideKick64 menu. Back to the RAM thing. I try to understand this. Choose kernel and or PRG with F7. Go back, then hit return or F1 for launch. Okay, so go to F7, but doesn't it work with D64 files? I select it. It says here, choose CRT, DXX or PRG with the NeoRAM to start, and then go back and press F1 to launch. But that doesn't work. Either the instructions are too unclear or this simply doesn't work. Yeah, so that was the SideKick64. It seems to have a little bit of issues with some stuff, or it's quite difficult to use or understand. I don't know if I ever got that RAM expansion to work. At least I could not get Sonic the Hedgehog to start. Anyway, now I'm gonna print a case for it. I found these case parts and I'm gonna print this. Yeah, looks alright. It's only gonna take 4 hours and 21 minutes. Alright, that was it for this video. I think it was fun trying to figure out how to use these devices. The Kung Fu Flash 2 and the SideKick64. Now the Kung Fu Flash I actually like more than the SideKick. The SideKick has a couple of advantages, like that fancy OLED screen and stuff, but besides that I think it's a lot harder to use, a lot more unstable, and yeah, although it has a lot of powerful features, I feel in my use of the C64 I really don't need that, like replacing kernel ROMs and stuff like that, but it's fun after all, and I don't consider these to be real products that are for sale like so. It's more like hobbyists doing this, and for that I really appreciate their work, so keep doing that please. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks a lot for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't done already, and special thanks to my patrons and my members. See you, bye bye.